Hello everyone, today we are going back in time and taking a look at the old Toybiz Spider-Man classics or Marvel Legends Spider-Man. And we're gonna compare them, how they hold up today compared to the new figures, new Marvel Legends Spider-Man, or also the Mayfix, as you can see. So all of these figures are Toybiz except just two, which is this Spider-Man Origins line of Symbiote Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2099. Actually, they are, as far as I know, the Toybiz body molds, so I still include them here. We're gonna take a look at them. I have some things to say about that as well. I mean, this is not like Hasbro Toybiz comparison because there's a big time difference, so we don't know how Toybiz would be today if they survived. But still, we're gonna just check it out. Some of the new collectors don't know so much about it, so I thought I make a new video about it and compare with the new stuff. And I will start with the older stuff, so we go forward in time. And the oldest figure here is, I guess, I'm almost sure, this Symbiote Spider-Man, which is a really old body mold. I think this was like the first series of Spider-Man classics. Basically, you can say this is the beginning of Marvel Legends. This was before Marvel Legends. And I mean, the body is really basic, but it's the first kind of 6-inch articulated action figure line, you can say. So, as we can see, it is from 2001. Yeah, so it's been a long time. And this figure looks very weird, of course, but you get many articulation points. And as you can see, this cut here actually was really something ahead of its time, you know, because we have this now. I mean, it was like a ball joint phase of Toybiz and Hasbro, but they didn't do the ball joint first. And this was much better. I don't know why they didn't use this anymore. But, I mean, this is like 20 years ago. What we have now is the same thing. And we also got the toe hinges now, of course, with Hasbro. We already had that back in the day. They got rid of that. Some weird decisions. But this figure already had it 20 years ago. Of course, like the up crunch is terrible. There's no up crunch, but there's a swivel here. And there's no cut here, so it's just one piece. So you can make that much poses, but still no interchangeable parts at all, of course. And double jointed knees. So I think for the time it was an amazing thing, really. I remember having these figures as a child. It was really amazing. And yeah, you can make some poses. It's not so bad. Can't look that much high. And there is almost no sculpt work, of course. So I remember they used this body mold for different figures as well. Different Spider-Man bodies. They added some sculpted webs. Or Daredevil, I guess. So the paint is also not much interesting. Maybe some slight shading going on, but not a lot. And when we compare this to the other Symbiote Spider-Man, which is much better overall, I think. It looks kind of strange because of this big ball joints. Also here, as you can see, this looks much cleaner here. But I think overall this is a better figure. It's much better articulated, and for me it was one of my first Spider-Man action figures I ever owned. This is not the copy that I had. I broke it when I was a child, unfortunately. But it has a special place for me because it was this exact figure, Spider-Man Origins. And the Spider-Man Classic one has the white logo, and this one, the Origins one, has the silver logo. And the eyes as well, of course. So this is the one from Hasbro. It's called Spider-Man Origins. The one from Toybiz was called Spider-Man Classics, and that was a longer and earlier phase. And this figure is basically the same body, so the body mold belongs to Toybiz, but Hasbro got the license. And it is really articulated, and you can make more natural poses than the one that this one can do. I think it's, in a way, it still holds up. I mean, when it's just standing, it looks weird, but once you pose him up, it's not so bad. Oops, it is not so bad. And yeah, the paint hold up doesn't look so bad. I remember breaking my figure on the leg somewhere, but yeah, this didn't break yet. But as you can see, it has a slightly loose joint. That's always going to happen with Toybiz figures. So even if you buy a new figure, it might have that issue. So it's like the Mayfax figures today. So there was always a QC issue that back in the day. And yeah, I mean, when you compare the size, the Mayfax, it's basically the same size, a bit smaller. The head is weird shaped, as you can see. Same thing. Even this one is even weird, more weird. Look at this head shape. This one is even more strange, I mean. And today's Hasbro Marvel Legends is a bit bigger. And of course, better proportioned head and everything. So, let's continue. I hope they can stand and not fall down. Okay, good. So this is dual web swinging Spider-Man from Toybiz. And it had 2 web lines. So it had kind of a gimmick that we don't have anymore in Marvel Legends, which I am glad. So they were also focusing on children with the Spider-Man Classics line and did some weird stuff. And this figure is not so bad. It has nice sculpted web lines and silver eyes. Like Alex Ross artwork really looks like this figure. And I hope Hasbro will redo this figure. And the articulation is terrible. So you can make very crazy poses. Unfortunately, as you can see, there's no up crunch, but there's a weird swivel here. And you can bend here at all. It can swivel here. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really bad articulation. And the leg ball joints are too far on the hips. So it's like not on the legs, but ass. It's like an ass articulation. It's kind of weird here. But you can still do some poses with the head looking up high and the legs really extending. So I was posing this guy, I guess, like this. So you can still somehow make it work and make it look cool on your shelf when you're nostalgic about these figures. By the way, I'm selling these figures. If you're interested, eBay link is on the description. I'm not shipping internationally, but if you ask, I can change the shipping options and make it more expensive. Unfortunately, it's going to be like 20 euros shipping outside of Europe. I basically don't have space for these figures and I am in a need for money. So I'm selling most of these figures. Not all, but most. And this one is one of them. And yeah, I'm not just showing them because I'm selling them, but now I have the opportunity to take them out from my shelf, from their beautiful poses, and show them. So yeah, but I make another beautiful pose, so it is fine. I'm selling that anyway. So that was it. And yeah, maybe I can also show the size, because basically they were mostly the same size. There is no a lot of differences, but I can still show you next to a Mayfax figure. So Mayfax also has sculpted lines, as you can see, and back in the day it was a normal thing. It wasn't a premium thing. So basically import and regular Marvel Legends quality in one form. That was Toybiz. But maybe that's the reason they went bankrupt, because it cost a lot to make these figures. Very good engineered for the time and much paint work, plus sculpted web lines. And let's look at this figure. This was called Urban Legends, I guess, from a box set that was with Elektra and Punisher. And this one is without the sculpted web lines. So ironically, this was one of the only figures, or maybe the only 6-inch super articulated Spider-Man that was back in the day without sculpted web lines, and that's what Hasbro does today. So you can really compare these two figures. They kind of look similar, and yeah, for the back in the day, this was a great figure as well, as you can see. It is also very articulated. It kind of looks similar to this one, but it's not the same body. It's slightly changed, but it's very similar. And when you put them side by side like this, it's going to look weird. Again, you can't make just standing poses with Toybiz figures. It's like the Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi figures today. But once you pose them, they're not going to be that bad. And I mean, if you care about these figures, you're not going to care that much about how weird they look anyway, because it's just pure nostalgia. I also have my Toybiz Sam Raimi figures. They're on my shelf. I'm not going to take them out now. But yeah, I will never ever sell them. They're the ones always going to stay, because Sam Raimi plus Toybiz. So yeah, as you can see, it can also look very nice. I don't know if this was from a specific artist, but yeah, it's a cool design and nice colors. And this Spider-Man 2099 is also from the Spider-Man Origins line, which was also with this symbiote Spider-Man. But this is a Hasbro body mold, I suppose, because it is terrible. There was also a Spider-Man 2099 with this Toybiz body mold. It had flat colors, not metallic colors. But this body beats this body still. And which year was this? 2006. So 5 years later, Hasbro take over and basically ruined it for a while until they come back. Because look at this. I mean, terrible articulation, terrible proportions. The legs are very, very far apart and not even straight. And no double jointed knees, double jointed arms. But I mean, basically you cannot pose this guy at all. The blue plastic was nice, I have to admit that. Maybe better than the blue plastic we got today with the 2099 figure. But yeah, it is terrible. Very bad. But I remember seeing this even as a child, and I wanted to buy it. When you're a child, you don't care about this stuff that much, but yeah, you know what I mean. So next, we're gonna take a look at the Spider-Hulk. That figure, I think, still holds up well, even though there is something weird about it. It is a piece of art, I have to say. Many years, this still holds up. Very nice sculpt work. Ripped off spider suit and everything, and the fingers, fingernails, even articulated fingers. So even like 1-2 points of articulation in one finger. So that's incredible. No interchangeable parts again, but instead we get that. And same thing with the feet. There's a toe hinge. So the articulation wasn't that bad. You can crunch forward a little bit and back a little bit. So the weird thing is with the arm, so there's a gimmick on the back. So when you move it, it moves the arm. So I think that's for children, it's a thing, but like this much sculpt work is going to this child toy is kind of weird for me. Also back in the day. But you can still make some nice poses. I'm missing one finger here. I'm also selling this one, by the way. So the sculpt is great. The articulation is okay. So I think this is maybe the one of the best still that still holds up, and Hasbro still haven't done a figure like this, Spider-Hulk. I don't know if they ever will, because this was, I guess, like on the comics just 1 issue or 2 issues, I don't know. But Hasbro did Webman, so why not? Maybe one day. But I hope Hasbro will also do some sculpt work and not just repaint a regular Hulk figure. So that's gonna be really nice. I mean, look at the sculpts. Yeah, I'm selling this one, but I really don't want actually, but I have to. Unfortunately, I'm selling very many figures. So I have to say goodbye to them. But yeah, this is a good one. And if you compare it with the regular Marvel Legends, you can see he is huge. And that's nice. And next we're gonna take a look at this Snapshot Spider-Man, which is also the same body as the Sinister Six Spider-Man. I don't have that figure anymore, unfortunately. I sold it already before. I don't remember when. But I like this one much better, so I kept this one. It has a lighter blue. Sinister 6 Spider-Man had darker blue and also a black wash on that darker paint. That was a nice thing. And this one has completely black wash also on the sculpted web lines. And this shoulders look very weird because very big shoulder joints, but I still like this figure very much. I think it's really, really nice. Colors are nice, sculpts are nice. I like the head sculpt, I like the eyes. And same thing again, once you pose this guy, it's gonna look great. I remember it had this weird kind of articulation here. But for making a pose like this, web swinging pose, actually it works out pretty well. As you can see. It's like a Revoltech Spider-Man. So today there's a new I saw new Revoltech Spider-Man coming. Coincidence, I'm making this video now. And yeah, these were like basically Marvel Legends Amazing Yamaguchi kind of mixture of figures. So when you just put them in the regular pose, they're gonna look crap, but once you pose them, they're gonna look nice. And they also have, of course, the finger articulation instead of interchangeable hands. And yeah, you cannot make like a web climbing, wall crawling pose, but web shooting pose is kind of okay. So let's make a quick pose as well. Something like this. So this joint is weird, as you can see, it just comes out. But what can you do? This is Toybiz, so it should be a bit weird like this. It is an old figure. The special thing is the sculpt work and the paint, of course, not the clean look. And I have a issue here, or you can say you might like that even, because it is a, what do you say, like a variant, you know? I forgot what it's called. But people sell them extremely expensive when there was a stuff like this on the Toybiz back in the days because of the QC issues. So the blue paint is missing. Instead, it's still the red plastic, plus there's a wash over it, because the blue doesn't have a wash, but they made a wash here thinking this part should be red, but it's not. So yeah, this is a special version of Snapshot Spider-Man, you can say. And compared to today's figures, you can see how weird or how different it looks. Let's not criticize Toybiz and just say it's different. And I have to say the red coloring is much nicer. Of course, sculpt work is nice, which this guy doesn't have. I mean, as you can see, it's just even more sculpt work. There's a lot going on there, more than the Mafex one even. This is a bit more shiny. Doesn't look that premium, unfortunately, as the Mafex one. I mean, the red parts, of course, not the blue parts. But yeah, for back in the day, it was a really nice thing. And the head sculpt is still very nice, I have to say. I like this smaller eyes version. So we are going forward to the McFarlane / Fearsome Foes Spider-Man. This body mold is the best body mold Toybiz ever made. It still holds up, I think. Once you pose these figures, they're gonna look incredible still. And I can really compare them to my effects. I think I can still compare them. You don't see so much weird things going on. It's a bit thin, of course. But Spider-Man should be thin. And this ball joint is gonna look weird. But the shoulders are high. The proportions are not so bad. Except it looks a bit too thin, like a skeleton. I have to say that, but otherwise, I think it's not so bad. And this one is kind of weird. The copy I have, the chest is kind of dark red, but the shoulders are kind of like not so dark, maybe because of the light. With the sun, it changed the colors a bit, but it can look really high, as you can see. So finger articulation, it can crunch very well. This body mold is basically a piece of art, piece of engineering. It can make crazy poses and it can still look fine. Like, look at this. So a complete split plus the crazy arms, crazy fingers, crazy shoulders. Takes a while, but yeah, I also be careful with it because they can break easy. They are old. So yeah, Very, very nice. So they did this figure, and they still did some weird Spider-Man figures after making this body mold. I don't know how, but this was like your peak time, like Toybiz's best time ever making this body mold, really. And so these figures, two of them, I just bring them both. So this is from Hasbro, and this is from Toybiz. So Toybiz did the body mold, and once Hasbro got the license, they did this really re-release of the McFarlane, so-called McFarlane Spider-Man, but it's actually called Superposable Spider-Man from Spider-Man Classics. But because of the art style of McFarlane and the eye lenses, people call it McFarlane Spider-Man. And it's the most expensive Spider-Man figure ever. I don't know if it's still that expensive, but I had this figure new and I sold many of them, and that helped me build my collection today, I can say. And as you can see, this has a different head. They bought the other two as the same head, just different paint, and the paint makes it look very different. So, and Hasbro's paint back in the day was also crap, so this doesn't look that good, and the plastic is not that good. But this guy is incredible, so it's still one of my favorite Spider-Man figures ever. So let's put this aside. And yeah, if you ask me if it still holds up, I have to say it definitely. It does hold up. And it holds up very well. And yeah, the paint is nice. Some black shading. And sculpted wraps, of course. And the black wash looks just like out of comics, you know. It's really nicely made. And yeah, you can really make this figure crunch. Let's try it out. Just like the new Hasbro animated Spider-Man. And it can look high. Look at this. I keep this guy for a long time in this pose. Just incredible for the time. This was really crazy. This was really crazy. So it's worth that it's so expensive. It's normal that it's so expensive. I mean, look at this. It can really fight with a Mayfix figure. And I don't know how much this cost back in the day. $5 maybe? And this is like $100. So that's crazy what what Toybiz could do that time. And imagine if they were still around. Maybe it would be better than Hasbro. You never know. You never know, because Toybiz also did some crazy weird stuff that sucked very bad. This was an exception. And yeah, it's like the same height or even a bit taller. And you can pose them together, and I don't think they're going to look that weird. The other one's going to look weird, but not this one. But with the Marvel Legends, maybe it could look a bit weird. I mean, Marvel Legends is very clean next to that figure, so... But Mayfax, yeah, it could work. So, I think this guy I'm going to keep on my collection. I'm not going to sell it. This three are like the best Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures for me. This is not even Marvel Legends Spider-Man Classics, but yeah. Mayfix, Toybiz, Hasbro. Their best Spider-Man work ever. All of them here. Alright, so that's it for today, and see you in the next one.